Hey everybody, it's March 16th, 2025. I did skip a week for my diary series. Man, I don't know why. I just wasn't feeling it last week, but I will make up for lost time. Want to make sure we get back out on our horse and make sure we get back to the routine. Got like two main concepts for this week that I would always like to remember for myself. So hopefully when I watch this back, hello future Brian, that maybe this will serve as a reminder if I don't already have these ideas kind of cemented in my head. So the two ideas, the first one I call the phone number theory. That's what I'm calling it. Maybe you guys have your own version of this. The reason why I call it the phone number theory is because when somebody, for instance, were to ask me for the last four digits of my phone number, let's just say you asked me for that. The only way I'd be able to tell you the last four digits of my phone number would be to recite the first six, because the way my brain makes the connection, is to have like a sequence where I don't remember what the last number is, but I remember what comes before it, and I remember what comes before that, and I remember what comes before that. So it's like, sure, maybe I could remember the last four digits of my phone number, but once I recite the first two digits of my phone number, I can simply recite the last eight, like by remembering what's after each other. And the reason that this helps me so much, and the reason that maybe you're saying, Brian, fucking remember your phone number, who cares? The reason why this helps me so much is because, I tend to be somebody that when I look at a day that's like really busy, or, I've worked really hard to have like a better morning routine, and I look at a morning routine that has a shit ton of stuff in it. Basically, I ask myself, Brian, are you trying to remember or think about or process the entire phone number right now? Or are we, doing what you want to do, which is to start from number one and then go to number two and go to number three? So what I mean that, say I have 20 things to do in the morning, rather than waking up and thinking of all the things I have to do, my brain, it really helps me to just flow from one thing to the next. So all I have to do when I wake up in the morning is worry about the waking up actually could be the first number, and then have whatever I do first be the second number, then the third number, then the fourth number. And for me, it's like just kind of reciting it in my head, and it becomes a rhythm, and it becomes like, well, just like with my phone number, where this number naturally follows that number, waking up is followed by a glass of water. And that's just how my brain works. So these healthy habits that I want to have, after I drink my glass of water, I make my bed. So it's like I wake up, drink a glass of water, make my bed, go to the bathroom, whatever, go do some yoga. The point is that each thing has a natural thing following it. So there's no longer thinking about what and remembering what I have to do. Each thing is then just associated with what is after it. Makes it more digestible for me, and it kind of reminds me when I'm overthinking or being anxious or overburdening my thoughts, basically, with that's preventing me from taking action, basically. So that's one theory, is I call it the phone number theory. I really like that one for myself a lot. And then the second one is actually a podcast I listen to. So speaking of which, we're going to be doing a little trial run with my website, my bsjdota.com, where I'm going to be doing like a monthly podcast / monthly book, depending on the month. We're going to start with a podcast for now, a little bit less of an investment, and I don't want to be giving myself like busy work / homework. I just want to be giving myself stuff that I would like to be doing anyways. And one of the things I'd like to be doing anyways is kind of just like this, basically reflecting on my life a little bit more, doing a bit better job of checking in with what I've done, what I've learned, making sure I don't really forget crucial lessons, and build, like, basically if I start building a new habit, that I don't like, unconsciously think, oh, I've learned that, it's good now, and then 2 months later I forgot. That's the kind of stuff I'm trying to avoid. So The monthly podcast is going to be an attempt at seeing if that works, seeing if it's another way to have a diary-esque thing that I can share with myself as a bit of an archive to go look back on, but also that I can share with you guys. So we're going to see that as a happy medium. Not sure if it's going to play out the way I envisioned, but that's something we're going to be trying. So check it out in the future, bsjdo.com, if you haven't already. But yeah, so the other theory is about discipline. I was listening to a podcast, which is going to be the monthly podcast of March, as the first one, where basically the discipline definition that this guy gives is, the definition of discipline is when you prioritize the needs of your future self over your present self. And I, let that kind of sink in for a second. It's like, wow, that's an interesting way to define discipline. And I guess since I already understand, meaning I've thought about it a lot, I'm not going to go into the depths of exactly what that means. But what I will say is that one thing he clearly does, like he said it himself, was that he, forgive me, I don't remember who he is. It will be in the monthly podcast though, so you can check that out. He refers to his past self and future self as different people. He disassociates from them. And I really like that. I've always kind of done that myself, and I never really, I knew it was helpful for me, but I also didn't really have any ways to apply it. And personally, I think it's so powerful because, in regards to future self, I think it's much easier to decide to take care of somebody else for somebody like me. Like, I'm anxious attachment, a very anxious person that I'm working on. It is getting better, but I'm working on it. And it's easier for me to imagine taking care of somebody else than it is to imagine taking care of myself. That's kind of sad, but at the end of the day, that's how it is. So for now, working on it. So to imagine my future self as somebody I would like to take care of, basically, rather than doing it in the moment saying, I know this is good for me. I know that's good for him and he'll appreciate it, him being my future self. But then also realizing, or the guy that in the podcast, he talks about the fact that you not only take care of your future self, but when you become your future self, like a week later, a month later, whatever, there's going to be moments where you remember what your past self did for you. And then you become grateful to your past self, which then effectively creates this positive feedback loop of being grateful to the person in the past that did this for you, and thus being more energetic, more willing, higher capacity to take care of the person in the future. I'm a firm believer that if you surround yourself by people who will do what's best for you and look out for you, that you'll also be more encouraged to do the same for them, and honestly, strangers or anyone around you. Basically, compassion and empathy beget compassion and empathy, right? So what I'm thinking about that is how OP of a thought that is that you're using your own compassion, empathy, and providing to be grateful for so that you can pass it forward to somebody else, and that somebody else is you. So I just think that's a really cool way to envision things. So what I've heard a lot of people, health professionals, psychologists, talk about the importance of gratitude towards your happiness. And I think that's a really easy, nice way to be grateful. To be grateful to yourself. Because for someone like me who beats himself up too much, too hard on myself, I think for anyone out there who's a little bit too hard on themselves, or a lot, I personally think this would be very helpful. It was very helpful to me. So maybe it's something for you guys to consider. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this feedback loop of positivity. It's a work in progress, but I've already felt the difference of it after listening to this podcast about a week and a half ago. So yeah, combining, these are a lot of just self-care things right now that I'm pretty much always doing. And future self, I hope you can be proud of what current me did for you. And if not, maybe you're not so proud. I hope that you can look back on me with some forgiveness, because you know as well as I do that I'm trying my absolute best here, as many of us, if not all of us, are. So, yeah, feels like a bit of a wholesome message to myself for this week. As what's really cool about these diary series is I kind of wanted it to be my past, present self talking to my future self. And what's cool about this whole thing, it's just so kind of trippy, is that like a month from now, that's future me. But in a month, that's present me. And then a month later, that's past me. So I am 3 different people, but I'm all of them at some point. You know what I'm saying? At each given point, I will have been that person in 3 different ways. Yeah. Philosophical shit. These are the things I enjoy thinking about. So, hope you guys enjoyed listening. Future Brian, hope you enjoyed listening to yourself ramble about this shit as well. And that's it for March 16th, 2025. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.